It's Whiskers.
And it's Sage.
And welcome to Wash Ya Hands.
Today, we're reviewing Clint Eastwood's first real directorial masterpiece, High Plains Drifter.
Starring Clint Eastwood,
Verna Bloom as Sarah. It was written by Ernest Tidyman.
So, our movie starts off with our stranger entering the town from the distance, almost appearing out of thin air. Our stranger says that he's in town for a whiskey and a bath. Well, he's in the middle of his peaceful hour to drink it in. He's approached by the men across the bar who have been glaring at him the whole time.
3 hired guns. So he proceeds to say, you know what, I'm done with this bar, I'm gonna go get myself a shave. From the worst barber I can think of. That man's hair is atrocious. Awful.
And every single time he has been trying to shave someone, his hands have been ridiculously shaky. In fact, he almost slit the sheriff's throat because he was shaking so bad when he tried to shave him.
But that will come in due time. You see, the stranger, wanting his shave badly, decides to go and get one. But the 3 hired guns, they're not done yet. They say, let's go harass the man some more.
The 3 men enter the barber's, clearly not interested in the barber himself. He decides to back away while they have their conversation.
Being the smart stranger that he is, already has his gun out under the apron that the barber put over him. You see, he's a smart gunslinger, not a stupid one.
After threatening him, they decide to turn him around to give him a taste of, well,
justice. One man receives a bullet in between the eyes, and the other 2 men get bullets in their midsections, killing all 3 of them.
Leaving the barber to clean up shop.
And that poor undertaker, let's not forget, overworked as hell.
The stranger decides to go and get a room to stay now, after being all worked up. And he lays down and has a dream about the whipping.
Also, there's a big secret going around in town. You see, the town decided to build a mining company on government property. Well, the marshal that previously worked in the town didn't like that very much. He was gonna rat them out, so what did they do? They hire 3 men. The leader of this gang, his name is Stacy. And his cousins Dan and Cole Carlin. By the way, watch out for Dan. He's the true unsung hero of this group, okay? He should be the leader. So he decides he wants a bath after that horrible dream. I don't blame him. He goes to the barber's, who he already paid the day before.
The barber, not wishing to object after what he last saw, sends Mordecai to go warm up some bath water. We should probably mention that Mordecai is very short and quite picked on by the local members of the town.
Everybody.
The stranger seems to like him though. After the sheriff takes Callie away from assaulting the stranger, she gets into an argument with the town's board members.
And let us mention, by the way, this is probably the best acted scene in the entire movie. She is phenomenal.
She proceeds to ask why nobody has done anything about her being assaulted by the stranger, asking if it's even at least a misdemeanor in this town.
Her husband, Morgan, says they're not going to do anything and that they're actually going to hire this man, so that she has nothing to say in the situation. She's overreacting.
And she basically says that nobody in the town has the gulls to stand up to the stranger, which is not wrong.
The sheriff begs, and I mean begs, the stranger to stay and help them with their problem, which makes the stranger not like the town in any way.
The stranger then gets his mind changed after the sheriff offers him anything he wants.
Anything.
Anything.
So, the stranger, taking full advantage of the situation, proceeds to get himself, well, some new boots, a bunch of cigars. He gets some blankets and some candy for a Native American family.
He also buys the town free drinks. And he offers the bartender one of his own cigars.
The bartender proceeds to try to charge him and gets told, once again, that there is no charge.
No charge, as the sheriff says.
But, in doing so, the sheriff is now stripped of his position. Mordecai's the new sheriff. Oh, did we forget? Mordecai's also now the mayor.
Hot damn, I'm gonna declare a holiday.
Hot damn! So, you're probably wondering at this point what's Stacy and his boys doing? Well, they just got out of prison. You see, Stacy, thinking full well that he's the leader, tells the boys that they're gonna head back to Lego for some well-desired revenge.
The stranger, in order to hold up with his end of the deal with the town, decides to get everyone in some target practice.
But, you see, since the town has to hire people consistently to protect them, they all suck at shooting.
The town is getting torn to bits by the misfires from the target practice routine.
So, Clint, sticking to his word, decides to hire some minorities to help him build a picnic in town and run one. Where are they going to get the lumber, though?
Well, Clint has the minorities gather lumber from the brand new barn
Of the hotel owner. You see, he's not happy about that, and he proceeds to give the memest worthy reaction of the entire movie. And it's all in one word.
What?
Trust us, it's worth it.
After being told to tear down his own barn, the hotel owner decides to ask if there was anything else he could help out with. And Mordecai, having the list, says they need 35 sheets, they need
200 gallons of red paint, 200 gallons. And they also need the hotel emptied.
well, so where are all the people supposed to go in the hotel?
Out.
The hotel owner and the mining company are having a meeting in which they discuss how the stranger is driving the whole town against each other with his ridiculous demands.
They also bring up the murder of the marshal, which they proceed to yell at each other about. You see, they all regret it. Besides the hotel owner, it seems. He seems to be on the side of wishing that it happened again.
The priest mentions to the stranger that it's kind of a problem having all the people from the hotel living on the streets, his brothers and sisters as he sees them. So the stranger says, if these people are your brothers and sisters, how about let them stay with you?
The priest obliges, but not for any more than regular hotel rates. So, on the other side of town, Mordecai, who's really only sheriff and mayor due to the stranger's interference, is not respected at all by the townsfolk, and proceeds to get beaten up and has to hide in his usual spot under a porch.
While he's under the porch, he experiences a flashback, the second time we see the whipping scene in the movie, which is about 4 minutes long, might I add.
3 minutes longer than it needs to be.
But in this whipping scene, the main difference is that he saw Sarah trying to save the marshal.
So late after dinner and dessert, we have Clint and his girl finally going to sleep for the night.
Getting up in the middle of the night, Callie decides to leave while 4 men climb up the stairs ready to attack the stranger.
You see, Morgan Allen, leading these men, makes sure that Callie is as quiet as possible when she leaves. They think that Clint is still in the bed, waiting.
The assault team is now beating the bed without Clint in it, who is outside the window watching them look foolish. He tosses in a casual stick of dynamite and hits the deck below.
It injures most of the men, besides Morgan and one more man. Clint decides to then shoot everyone, even Morgan, who only gets injured in his arm.
Hiding behind Callie.
Oh, yeah. So after a failed assassination attempt, Morgan decides he's going to run away. I don't blame him. He leaves his wife behind. I, again, don't blame him. So he decides to go see if Stacy will give him help since the entire town is now turned on him for trying to kill the stranger. He meets up with Stacy, who, like I said, proceeds to stab him in the throat with a stick. Could have shot him, but he just wanted to use the stick, I guess. The stranger, who is now pretty pissed off at the town, understandably, asks for $500 an ear. And he proceeds to track Morgan Allen all the way to the valley where Stacy and his goons are hiding. He shoots a man's ear off. I repeat, he shoots a man's ear off. No shame. Since he's now satisfied with hurting a man's ear for at least a cheap $500 now, he proceeds to ride back to town. In his absence, he requested that the townspeople paint the entire town red. Even the church red. He also painted hell on the Lego sign outside of the town, just for good measure. Alright, it's time for Stacy and the boys to come on home. They've been riding day and night, losing sleep. What baffles both of us is how they don't see, one, all the people on the roofs from the hillside waiting for them, and two, that the entire town has in fact been painted red. They only see this about, what, at the entranceway of the town? That's not possible. You see, minutes before Stacy and the gang arrive to town, though, the stranger makes sure to check that everyone's in position. And when everyone's in position and the church bells are ringing, he proceeds to ditch the entire town. You see, the town, heartbroken because they're watching their hero ride out on horseback, is now completely at the mercy of Stacy and his gang. They're not good shots at all. Time to do a bit of roll call. Let's see who Stacy and the gang take out and let live during their assault. So, after the town is pretty much destroyed, lit on fire, and a lot of the inhabitants are gunned down, the rest of the inhabitants are moved into the saloon, where, of course, Stacy wants a drink. Does he pay for it? No. No one in this movie pays for any drink, besides one time. That poor bartender. The man who lost his ear, who's taking it very well, tracks down Callie in town and brings her to the saloon. She brings up that her and Stacy had a past, and that Morgan Allen stole her from him. Stacy doesn't care. He doesn't want anything to do with her. Before they can destroy the town more, the earless henchman wants to know who attacked them in that valley. But before he can confront anyone, he's pulled outside with a whip, and he is proceeded to be whipped to death. And also, mind you, this is the third, and I repeat, third whipping scene in this movie that goes on too long.
Damn you all to hell!
Way too long. You only needed 2 of them. You didn't need 3. Before we continue, we do have something to say about one of the gang members. You remember that Dan guy, the cousin? You see, he's wearing a green shirt throughout the movie. He's easy to identify. He is the unsung hero of that Bridges gang. He has tactical decisions. He never gets angry in the face of danger, and he's always willing to look out for the horses. This man is the leader of this gang. Stacy is useless. He's a bad shot, and he gets way too emotional in the most important of times. And also, he lets Dan die. So, now with Dan and Cole both taken out, the stranger has no problem walking into the middle of the street to confront Stacy one-on-one. You see, like I said before, Stacy's not a good shot, nor is he fast at the draw whatsoever. The stranger proceeds to disarm him immediately and put 3 bullets into his stomach. But before he goes, Stacy utters maybe the line of the movie. Would you like to take that for me?
Who are you?
Twice.
The stranger did not answer.
Now, with the Bridges gang taken out, there's only one thing left to do. Oh, wait a minute. Is that the hotel owner with a gun? It looks like he's about to take out the stranger, but Mordecai comes to the rescue. Using that new revolver that's twice his size. What a sheriff. With the deed done, and everyone pretty much dead, the town burning to the ground, and the town also painted red, the stranger's work is done. So the next morning, he rides through town one last time. He looks at Sarah, who's also leaving because she decided she's had enough of this town and that husband of hers who's now dead, and I don't blame her. He then proceeds to ride up to Mordecai, the last man in his ally posse, who's actually marking the grave of that marshal we told you about earlier. Mordecai proceeds to ask the stranger's name, and the stranger replies that he's known it the whole time, which confuses Mordecai but also makes him understand that maybe, just maybe, this man was the marshal the whole time.